Welcome, everybody. Such was the success of our inaugural NFL Roundtable. We are back again as 3 weeks of playoffs commence to beat the January Blues, followed by Super Bowl 60 on February 8th in San Francisco. Once again, is he excited? Is he what? Shane Brennan, hello.
It's the most wonderful time of the year, Joe.
I knew you'd have something. And Will Slattery, hello.
I actually watched Super Bowl 40, and now it's going to be Super Bowl 60. That's a grim thought. I'm now getting old.
So old. You look it too.
Nice, thank you.
No, you look fantastic. Interestingly, Will announced yesterday in Bits and Bobs that he once made 35 New Year's resolutions, and somebody emailed in a similar number that they had made, which we'll be coming to in due course. I just want to flag that.
So where did you come with the number of 35? Like, at what point were you writing down the list at like number 15? And it's like, should I really keep going with all these?
I just kept going, Shane. As this email, which we've teased, will show you, there's a never-ending thing of kind of ways of self-improving yourself that you can keep going on with.
High performance, Shane. You keep on striving.
I can't think of 35 things.
I was Jake Humphries before there was a Jake Humphries.
So we're at Wildcard Weekend. Now, if you're a bit like me and it's hard to keep track of all the names, Wildcard, Divisional, Championship Week, etc., there is Wildcard. Then next week, Divisional, which I like to call the quarterfinals.
Yes.
And then Championship Week, which I like to call the semifinals. I don't really recognise NFC, AFC nonsense. And then we'll have the Super Bowl. So it's all kind of congealing nicely. Here, as I was just, as I like to do, scrolling mindlessly, and I came across this clip, which is mainly visual, and the music kicks in pretty quickly, and you just see lots of Irish guys kicking footballs between the sticks. But even Pat McAfee recognises that Ireland's so hot right now.
Ireland is kind of big for the game right now. Hosting a game, providing players.
And you sort of feel like he should keep going, but that's all he has to say. But still, those two things.
There's no more to say. He has it all down in what was it, 6 or 7 words?
Yeah, but it was just so weird. I was like, God, Ireland. Charlie Smyth update. He kicked a 56 and 57 yarder against the Titans 2 weeks ago. Finished the season with a 50-yarder against the Falcons. Did miss a kick in each of his last 3 games, albeit they're not easy kicks. So the situation on Charlie Smyth and his contract and his position is?
So he had a 3-year contract going into this season anyway that was signed last year, but there's a lot of guaranteed money put up front, but the kind of the way is once you're on the practice squad, you earn the league minimum. I think it's $214,000 a year, and that's kind of all you're getting, whereas that contract, it gets activated if you get elevated into the squad. The first couple of weeks he was technically speaking on the practice squad and just kept getting lifted up on like the Friday of every week, which contractually means that they could still sort of keep him on a lower level, but he's been put fully onto the head squad now. So that 3-year contract has changed status on it a little bit, which means that he's now fully a member of the New Orleans Saints starting squad. I think, like you're saying, like the quality of kicks he's been hitting is still pretty incredible. He hit like the 56, 57 yarder. We're not that long ago from a time when that was near enough what the NFL record was. Like people are nicknaming Charlie from the logo Smith because he's always hitting them from where teams have like the little logos of their team branding in the middle of the field. He's always seemed to be hitting them from that far out.
Charlie the logo.
So like, and it's thing like he has, the thing that got his predecessor sacked is the fact that his predecessor was missing a kick a game. That's something that Charlie needs to work on, of course. But the misses that Smith has had have been either in very sleepy conditions or from very far out. There was one against the Falcons on Sunday where he missed one, but it was from a considerable distance. Like I don't think people are going to knock him in the way that other kickers get knocked for missing extra points, for example.
Yeah, because you're seeing a clear upside in the level of kicking. The long range kicking has been particularly good. So that's definitely something that will catch the eye of the special teams coach, and he'll definitely warrant him going into next season being the starter.
Do they do an XG thing on screen these days? Is it like over under XG, or is it still very much he's 7 from 9?
7 from 9.
Yeah, okay. They need to up that, I think.
Yeah, they put up like a lot of like percentages of like expected. How many if they're kicking from like 60 yards out, what percentage of kicks are made and all this kind of thing. But
they should do XG. Like, where is he in the XG?
Yeah, I don't know. I believe the one thing the NFL does not need is more analytics and statistics. Yeah. You just get bombarded with it so much.
So if the league minimum wage, not to use that term, sorry, minimum wage is $234,000 a year, what's our boy Charlie the logo?
It's difficult to know. I don't know for sure, but I mean, I think he like that contract had like the ceiling of that contract I think was in the millions. So like we could be expecting to at least be getting double that.
Okay. Nice. Here he is as we sign off on Charlie for the year. with just 2 seconds left against the Carolina Panthers just before Christmas. The Saints won 4 of their last 5 games and had Smyth to thank in part.
Charlie Smyth from 47. It's on the way. It is good. There is a marker down. There's a flag down for now. The conquering hero of Ireland has given New Orleans the lead.
Offside. Defense number 26. That penalty's declined. The field goal is good.
You can see Charlie Smyth. You want to talk about putting it down the middle. He left no doubt here in the Superdome. And the Saints just keep on marching.
So it's not in that clip, but the great thing is when the Fox commentators turn around and be like, the scenes in Laverty's Bar and Mayo Bridge tonight would be incredible, as that particular commentator was saying all game, which is a bizarre thing that a Fox commentator knows the name of a bar in County Down.
The flag in the play serves the same purpose as a VAR check in football. He couldn't quite give it the gusto it deserved because he had to say, there's a flag, so it might be coming back, but maybe robbed like 25% impetus from his call.
Well done him. What a year. Playoffs weekend then. So Denver Broncos and Seattle Seahawks have a bye until next week. So a lot of games. I saw Chris Collinsworth of NBC call this the most unusual year I can remember in the NFL.
It's been bizarre. I mean, even like I was here last week with Ronan and Dave trying to explain what happened last week with how the NFC South was decided, because we thought that the Buccaneers, when they played against the Panthers on Saturday, the winner of that would win the division and then go to the playoffs. But in fact, it was dependent on the result of the Saints-Falcons game the following day. It sort of put a bow on what has been probably the craziest NFL season I can remember. You cannot get a read in any of these teams.
Well, let me hit you with some stats. So for the first time in 35 years, which is kind of Will Slattery age, of the 14 playoff teams, at least 11 of the 14 have at least 11 wins in the regular season. So 11 of the 14 teams have at least 11 wins in the regular season. So basically there's no glut of duds here. There's a lot of kind of teams who are capable of beating each other. Do you want the outright odds? I know people don't always love odds being given, but it would be helpful in this instance. Seahawks at 7-2 are the favourites, just ahead of the Rams 4-1. Then we have Broncos 6-1. Philadelphia Eagles 15-2. Bills, a lot of people like them before the season, 17-2. And on we go. Who is going to win Super Bowl 60?
There's no one who should be shorter than like 6-7-1 there. Like the Seahawks, ostensibly the favourites, but to be so short is crazy to me. As you outlined, some of the big beasts that have traditionally been big playoff players, obviously the Chiefs were eliminated a couple of weeks ago. Mahomes got injured. The Ravens, we're going to touch on, missing out on the playoffs. Joe Burrow, who hasn't been in the playoffs the last couple of years because he's had injury-hit seasons. Another one, he's not there either. So we're missing some of the kind of the tentpole stars of the league, and there doesn't seem to be any outright overwhelming favourite. You could make a case, as you said, 11 of 14 with double-digit wins. Traditionally, the last couple of years, this wildcard round has probably featured like 5 blowouts out of 6 or 4 blowouts out of 6, and it's been a weekend you could skip. All games this weekend look very, very close on paper, bar one. The Panthers, as Shane alluded to, kind of snuck in, and they ought to get hammered by the Rams. But all the other games, you could make decent, reasonable, sane cases for, I'd say, 7 or 8 teams to win the Super Bowl. Whereas the last couple of years, it's probably been 3-4. Mahomes making it on one side, whoever comes out of the NFC and the other. So who's the favourite? The Seahawks, technically are, and probably with their home field advantage, look decent, but there's no one that I'd be confident in saying they are definitely going to be there in 3 weeks' time. I don't know what you think.
Yeah, well, it's funny you say that the Panthers have no chance against the Rams. The last time the three of us were sitting here, I said the Rams are going to go all the way to the end of the season, and then the Panthers ended up beating them that weekend. So I don't know, maybe there's some kind of hoodoo coming from this room when it comes to that particular matchup. But if you look at all 12 teams who have made the playoffs, the Seahawks and the Broncos, yes, are the number 1 seeds, and their home field advantages are pretty significant, as we'll talk on later. But every team has significant weakness which you can target, which hasn't been the case in the last couple of years. Like the Chiefs, even if they haven't played great in the regular season, they seem fairly bulletproof once you get to the playoffs. We've seen it, like there's so many teams in years past who we just thought, if they end up meeting in a championship game, it could be incredible, like the Lions and the 49ers a couple of years ago, because those are 2 very strong outfits. Every team here you can pick holes in. The Seahawks, is Sam Darnold a big game player? Because we saw last year, he's him and Tom Brady, the only quarterbacks in history who have had back-to-back 14-win seasons. Now, Tom Brady did that when you only played 16 games a season. Sam Darnold did that when you played 17 games a season, so that slightly skews that stat. But still, that's incredible consistency in the regular season. But there's been a couple of big games this year, including twice against the Rams, where he gives up a lot of interceptions. So that's something you could pick off there. You can go through all 12 of these teams, even the ones you think are in really good positions, and say there's about 10 different things that are wrong with them. So it makes the most open postseason that I can remember, and it means that this weekend there isn't a single game you could skip apart from that Saturday night.
Just to come in on the Seahawks, because like as you said, they're allegedly like the hot favourites. You know, Sam Darnold, their quarterback, threw the third most interceptions in the league this year. Like, that's usually a team who's going to be picking at the top of the draft, not a team that's going to win the Super Bowl. Their defense has been unbelievable. Ironically, their head coach Mike McDonald was hired from the Baltimore Ravens 2 years ago. I'm sure the Baltimore Ravens would love to have him in situ now, because the defense he has created is playing really, really well. But the idea that Sam Darnold is going to win a Super Bowl, this is a guy who was drafted by the Jets in 2018, who flamed out of there, went to the Panthers, flamed out of there, went to the 49ers and kind of got a bit of confidence there, and ended up playing really well for the Vikings last year. But they moved off him as well at the end of last year, because despite winning 14 games, he completely collapsed in the playoffs, because that's what his kind of career has been like. So that's why the idea of him winning a Super Bowl seems very far-fetched, and yet they seem to be the clubhouse leader, just because, as Shane said, every team seems to have a little flaw or a big flaw in some cases.
So are we enjoying this season?
Oh, great.
You're not sitting there going,
I love it.
I don't like
the
the standard here has gone through the floor.
Because I like the last couple of years, the gladiatorial matchups of Mahomes versus Allen versus Lamar Jackson versus Joe Burrow. And as we'll touch on, like, there's only one of those big beasts left standing in the AFC. And like, I personally prefer the star players being involved in the business end. Like, all these teams are interesting, and it will be fun to see a new team kind of go deep and potentially win a Super Bowl, because the Chiefs' monopoly, while dramatic, after a while, we talked about Luke Littler yesterday, maybe he gets a little monotonous.
You like your stars?
I do, yeah.
Will is a Colin Coward elitist. He likes the top guys being forward. I love the fact that this has thrown up so many WTF moments over the course of the year. I mean, anytime you think, okay, I think the Rams are the most well-rounded team, and they end up dropping one to the Falcons on Monday night, I think that whatever take you have, there's always some way to prove you wrong. I think that's been really, really interesting. Just one last thing on the Seahawks, right? In 2005, a new pope was elected. The Seahawks lost 3 games and they went to the Super Bowl. In 2013, a new pope was elected. The Seahawks lost 3 games and went to the Super Bowl. What's happened this year? A new pope has been elected. The Seahawks have only lost 3 games. It's all there, lads.
He hasn't made much of an impression on me, this pope, yet.
Yeah, I was actually
What's his name?
What's his
name?
Leo.
Okay.
I was saying this to someone the other day. How there's not been on a peep of it of him. Like, what do popes do these days?
He's not capturing the imagination.
People keep giving him sports jerseys because I know he's a big White Sox fan, but they keep giving him like the jersey of the other Chicago baseball team, like the wrong one, the one he doesn't like. He was famously like spotted, like someone got like the old footage of him at the 2004 World Series that the White Sox won. He was like in the crowd, just standing there.
You think he'd be going head to head with Trump, like two Americans? Yeah. I feel like he could get a lot of cachet.
What's his brand? Is the question you can.
His brand actually. Sorry, on the Trump point, he's actually come out and said a lot of things, sort of. Given out about the general anti-immigrant thing that's going on. So I think he actually has been a loggerheads with the MAGA movement in fairness.
Okay.
Pass me by.
Yeah, that's on me. So very quickly, Rams away to Panthers. That's maybe the one potential blowout game, 9:30 Saturday. Daniel Whelan's Green Bay Packers are away to the Bears in Chicago Saturday night, 1 a.m. Sunday morning. Sunday, Bills away to Jacksonville. Jaguars, 6 o'clock. That's on Virgin, by the way. First free-to-air playoff game since the 90s.
Are you hosting it? Imagine.
No, imagine. That would be bad for everyone.
Is that Shane in your ear all the time?
Yeah. Guys, the Pope. 49ers are at the Eagles, reigning champions. LA Chargers against the Patriots. We're going to talk to Tara Sullivan later on, by the way. The Patriots obviously having a very good year. And then on Monday, Houston Texans away to Aaron Rodgers, Pittsburgh Steelers. So, obviously the regular season ended, which meant it was Black Monday. And John Harbaugh, 18 years as Baltimore Ravens head coach. And there was a missed kick at the death, Tyler Loop with 44 yards. And really, I mean, this was extraordinary because he makes the kick and the Ravens go through, misses the kick, the Ravens are out, and the Steelers go through and step up, no pressure, Tyler Loop.
To set up this moment for the rookie out of Arizona. The Ravens, of course, had Justin Tucker for so long. The most accurate kicker in the history of the league. Rodgers can't believe what he has just witnessed. What might be the end for him. But they went around the country and spoke to a lot of the kickers who were coming out. And they decided Tyler Loop was made of the right stuff for moments like this. He now has a chance to win the division for the Ravens. The final play of the regular season for the final spot in the playoffs. Tyler Loop from 44. Snap good. Hold it. The kick is no good. It is wide right. And the Steelers are the champions of the North.
Ouch.
Thank God there was no flag on that play.
Yeah,
he was able to give it with gusto.
But Ronan said it till 4 o'clock in the morning to watch that.
Ah, stop. The commentator got too excited for a miss. The kick is no good. I
But
think
it's a huge moment. Nobody
Pittsburgh.
expected it to happen. Like it was only like 45 yards out. He should be making that. It wasn't like it was a long kick.
yeah, it wasn't like it was Tyler Logo. Cut to John Harbaugh, who's been the coach for 18 years, 2013 Super Bowl winner, and obviously in the press conference afterwards, it's a somber affair.
Are you feeling like you've won another shot with these guys?
Yeah, I love these guys. I love these guys.
Yeah, no, he was sacked.
That was a massive moment. Him being fired last night. I know it's Black Monday. It was technically bled into Tuesday yesterday, but you have to say 18 years. The Ravens are the first Super Bowl favourites in history at the start of the season not to make the playoffs, and the way their last 4 seasons ended will indicate why he might have been fired. Missed field goal. Then last year, crushing drop in the end zone against the Buffalo Bills. The year before, crushing fumble at the goal line against the Chiefs in the championship game. The year before that, a fumble at the goal line against the Bengals in the wildcard round that they bring back for a touchdown to win the game. So when you add all these up, in isolation, you're like, oh, that's just unlucky. But if it happens year on year on year on year, you have to say, okay, we need like kind of a Joe Schmidt level of attention to detail to seep into this team to maybe get them slightly back on track. But it speaks to his prowess that he will be hired immediately. By the end of this week, he will be coaching a team. And apparently there's 7 teams want to hire him. There's only 6 other teams with openings.
Wow.
So there's teams with coaches that are actually...
So why is he so good?
Because, well, he's been there for... it's not because they've been dreadful. It's just that they have, as I said there, they've just struggled in some big moments to close out some key games. But no one doubts his ability kind of to build a culture.
Do you think they're right to sack him and other franchises are right to hire him?
Yeah.
I think they were wrong to sack him, personally.
Okay.
I know, Will believes Baltimore has been very boneheaded and all this kind of thing.
Boneheaded Baltimore, I thought I branded them.
This is the same thing with Mike Tomlin. That missed kick is going to go down as one of the greatest sliding doors moments in NFL history, because if that kick goes through, we're sitting here and talking about how Mike Tomlin, the Steelers head coach, is being sacked after 19 years.
Did you know that phrase comes from a movie? Never mind.
I didn't know that. I actually never heard of that movie until that discussion. But anyway, that's an aside. But the Ravens will consistently make the playoffs. They keep winning in the division, which is one of, not the toughest in the league, I would argue. This year, yes, they fell short. There's a lot of injuries going against them. I feel like this is a case of be careful what you wish for, but it's become quite clear there's a rift between Harbaugh and Lamar Jackson, the quarterback.
Okay.
That's become clear in the last couple of days, and the franchise, I think, felt, and usually we talk about Black Monday. Black Monday is actually turned into Black Sunday evening, that if a team wants to get rid of their head coach, they'll actually just do it on Sunday night. They won't even wait till Monday morning. That's happened to Jerome Mayo last year at the Patriots, happened to Raheem Morris this year at the Falcons. And the fact that they waited to Tuesday, I think, was probably shown as a bit of debate inside the building as to what was going to happen after that game on Sunday. But to me, it seems like they were sort of backed into a corner, picking between Lamar and the coach.
And looked very drawn and tired, I have to say.
Well, like as I said, 4 years in a row, they've been... Their season has ended in a kind of a heartbreaking, kind of somewhat ludicrous fashion. I'll give you an example. In 2012, Andy Reid had been the Eagles coach for 14 years. It had run its course. He hadn't been able to get them over the line. It was a similar scenario. They'd had some crushing playoff defeats. They sacked him. They went a different direction. He went to the Chiefs. He's had an unbelievable second half to his career with Patrick Mahomes. The Eagles then went on to win a Super Bowl not too long afterwards. So sometimes a little bit of a break, just because it's not working in one place doesn't mean it can't work in another. He might be, I think, the New York Giants, who have a young quarterback, some good draft picks from the last couple of years. I think that they're the favourites maybe to get to nab him.
What has been the blackest Black Monday?
I don't know. I was going back and trying to see what the biggest shock is. Generally, like, there aren't too many shocking decisions. I would actually
this is probably one of the bigger ones.
I would say this is probably up there with the blackest of Mondays, as well as when you think of other like there's been further down the league, head coaches stayed in their jobs, but they've gotten rid of coordinators. I mean, the Washington Commanders were the fairy tale story of last year. This year, the head coach, they were useless. This year, the head coach was like, well, the problem's not me. Get rid of the offensive coordinator and the defensive coordinator to shove them out of the building. We've lost the Giants. Giants got head coaches early in the season. Raheem Morris, I'm not quite sure if he fully deserved his firing from the Atlanta Falcons. They ended up finishing 8-9, but I don't know. I think the league has become a bit more trigger happy.
Wilfred Nancy had to go, no?
Just to show you how important this day is, though, when you get it to steal a march on people hiring the next hot coordinator.
Yeah.
Ben Johnson with the Bears, Liam Cohen with the Jaguars. It was this time last year where triggers were pulled, those guys were hired, the rebuilds began, and now they're two of the best teams in the league. There's also this farcical situation that if I'm the Baltimore Ravens and I want to hire, say, a coordinator with the Rams, this week while he's game planning for the Panthers, he has to like put on a suit and tie potentially and fly to Baltimore. There's this kind of it's the season's kind of jumbled in that way that like coordinators are going to have to like double job if they want to get their next job. They also have to kind of work at the moment, so that can be quite messy as well.
Yeah. Okay, let's go through some of the games. AFC. The Bills we mentioned were sort of tipped by a lot of people for a big enough year. Shane, you have framed this as Josh Allen's big chance to shed an early man status. So Josh Allen is 29 years of age, breakout season in 2020, which was the Bills' best season in about 25 odd years. He was NFL MVP in 2024, one of the great dual threat quarterbacks, can pass and run. And yet in 4 of the last 5 years, they've been dumped out of the playoffs by the Chiefs. The Chiefs are there no more. The AFC's big four has been fractured. So is Josh Allen going to shed his loser tag?
That's the thing. I mean, we always talk about the AFC. Oh, great to have Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, and Patrick Mahomes. They're the big beasts in the AFC. Josh Allen is the last man standing of those four. And yeah, the Bills are coming into this the 6th seed. It's the first time in the Josh Allen era, certainly in recent years anyway, they haven't won their division. The Patriots have won that division instead, which means that if Josh Allen and the Bills are going to do it, they're going to have to go and get 3 wins on the road, most likely. Which is very tricky because their run on the road has been inconsistent and other parts of the team game. I mean, we talk about Josh Allen being Superman. I think in a couple of previous years he's had to be Superman because the team either wasn't planned well enough, he didn't have enough wide receivers.
So his nearly man, and this is like, to be honest, this is the great weakness of American NFL punditry, which is frankly terrible. It's terrible. Everything about it's reductive. You know, the nearly man, loser tag. This guy has been like Steven Gerrard for Liverpool, brilliant. And the people around him have let him down. And yet he gets the tag of, Josh Allen. Not really a winner, is he? Which is just beyond stupid.
They literally changed the rules of overtime because I think 4 years ago, Josh Allen threw what appeared to be a game-winning touchdown pass in Arrowhead Stadium against the Chiefs with 13 seconds left. Only 13 seconds left, and they were up by 3 points. You're thinking, they're into the next round. Somehow Mahomes was able to complete a pass down the field. They kicked the field goal to take it to overtime, and the Chiefs scored in the first possession with a touchdown, which ended the game. They then changed the rules to give everyone a possession because they were like, well, this isn't fair on Josh Allen. This isn't fair. So to that point, you're right. But at the same time, like the Ravens, the Bills have had some heartbreaking playoff defeats in the last couple of years to the Chiefs, like so in similar fashion, like missed field goals, the 13-second games that will live in infamy. This is his big chance.
Okay.
The big beasts, as Shane said, are gone.
And does your neutral NFL fan quite like Josh Allen and want him to?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
get his just desserts.
And it's not just Josh Allen; it's the Buffalo Bills. They're the only team I can think of in sports history. I think maybe Clonagale in the All-Ireland Club Football Championship lost 4 finals in a row in the 80s. The Bills lost 4 Super Bowls in a row in the 90s. That's almost unheard of for a team to lose 4 finals in any sport in a row and never get over the line, and they still haven't done so.
And people stop comparing the Bills to the Clonagale team of the 80s.
I know. It's such a tried old hackneyed.
Give me something new.
They at least lost 3. I think they lost 4.
So they lost 4, yeah.
They're the only team. No, the Clonagale, I mean. The Bills definitely lost 4.
I was going to say, sorry.
The Bills definitely
We'll
lost.
watch those matches.
The Bills definitely lost 4. Going back to Scott Norwood's, wide field goal against the Giants, in the 1990s. Like, so it would be an exorcism for the Buffalo Bills as a whole, and for Josh Allen, it's his big moment. For me, that's the big storyline. Can Josh Allen get over the line? And yeah, I know they're on the road, which is tough, but there's no tough match for them there. There's no team that they won't be favoured to beat, I think, no matter who they play.
The thing is, like, it depends on how things go on. I mean, if results happen the way I think they will have to go into Mile High next week and play the number 1 seed Denver Broncos. That'll be a very, very tough challenge. If he manages to overcome that, the Super Bowl is his to lose.
Okay. Well, we'll see how he gets off away to the Jaguars. 6 o'clock on Sunday. Aaron Rodgers. I don't know if this is his last dance, but he's 42. Has he announced whether he's going to? No?
No.
They're hosting the Texans. Steelers got into the playoffs at the expense of John Harbaugh and the Ravens in that kick. Are these guys any good? Is Aaron Rodgers up to much here?
They go through weird patches, especially on offense. I mean, they won 3 games leading up to 2 weeks ago when they sort of dumped a really, really bizarre offense did nothing game against the Browns, where I feel like Aaron Rodgers, for some reason, for a man who's supposed to be so laser focused on doing the one thing he came to Pittsburgh to do and win a playoff game, like in what was 2 weeks ago a game where if they beat the Browns, a team which they would be expected to beat, just go in there and they would have their playoff fate sealed, was so afraid of having Myles Garrett, the leading defender for the Browns, get the NFL stat record by hitting him, that it completely just eroded what the offense were doing. And he instead of just taking the sack, or he was throwing away passes way too early. And it felt like all the great teamwork building that Rodgers has done and sort of changing his persona and who he is in Pittsburgh compared to who he was at the Jets. At the Jets, it was quite clear that he was the alpha male. Everything's about him. Entire franchise basically did whatever he wanted, and it became very dysfunctional very quickly. He's got into Pittsburgh. He's not doing the Pat McAfee show. He's not talking about vaccines or musing about whether he'll run as the vice president for RFK Jr. like he was in the Jets. He's focused on football. There have been a couple of streaks where they played really well. 3 weeks ago, they went into Detroit in a game they weren't expected to win and managed to pull off a victory. Detroit had a chance to win the game in the end, but Rodgers did play very, very clean football in that game, and it was their 3rd win in a row. But then that Browns game for me was one where he became selfish again, because he just didn't want to be the guy that Myles Garrett got the sack record against. And I think if he keeps his focus on the prize and works as a team, because his team, people who play with him and people who played with him talk about how good he is as a teammate. If he focuses on that, they have a chance.
To be fair, when the game was there to be won against the Ravens, he went, and obviously it was a missed field goal that technically won it, but he led them on two very impressive touchdown drives. He's been hit and miss this season, as the Steelers have. And, at the start I said you could make a decent case for most teams. The Steelers are probably one team you would struggle to make a case.
45-1.
Yeah, and that makes sense.
Okay.
But, they're also underdogs at home to the Texans on a Monday night. That Steelers atmosphere will be ravenous. I wouldn't be shocked at all if they upset the Texans, at least, and got a bit further. But after that, it's hard to see them going far.
I want to touch on the Patriots. They are obviously reborn a little bit this year. Tara Sullivan of the Boston Globe is a friend of the show. She is going to fill us in. Tara, welcome. Good to talk to you.
Thank you. Good to be here.
So, it looked for a time like things were going to be pretty grim around your way, and suddenly this season, 14 wins, 8 of them on the road, just 3 defeats, and the vibe is good around the Patriots again.
It is indeed, even if that disgusts the rest of the NFL fandom, I think they feel like the Patriots fans got their fill, and more so in the Tom Brady years. But yeah, this combination, right? First-year head coach, Mike Vrabel, former Patriot player, Super Bowl winner, and then that combination with the second-year quarterback, Drake Maye, it's been pretty magical. They've really put something good together.
Well, Vrabel is really worth talking about for a moment. So people will be familiar with him, as you said, Super Bowl winner, very much of the Patriot way in the 2000s, came through under Belichick, and then went and kind of learned the ropes. Tennessee Titans head coach, 18 to 23, and now he's back to take the helm at the Patriots. The way this guy is coming across is he has that Belichick do your job DNA in his bones, and he gets that. But there's a kind of humanity there.
Sorry, can you hear me? Because I think my AirPods just died, but
Yeah,
if
we
you
got
can
you.
hear me, we're still good.
Yeah.
All right, good. Yes, the DNA, I think you're 100% right. There's a big part of Belichick there, but it is interesting in that Vrabel did not coach for Belichick. Bill's coaching tree, as it were, as we talk about, is not great. Guys have not gone on to great success as head coaches, but Vrabel's a little bit different. He has his Ohio State background. He has some of that college. He worked in Houston with Bill O'Brien. He kind of carved his own path. And I do think you're onto something with the humanity. And I do think what's interesting is that has come out a lot more in this time around with the Patriots. I think that's a little bit of toward the end, maybe what led to his firing in Tennessee, that maybe it had just worn thin or gotten old. So I think it's a little bit of like Vrabel 2.0, and it's a better version even of what he was before.
Yeah. We should touch on Drake May as well. So, like with the Patriots, it's always difficult post Belichick and post Brady to take those two positions. So Vrabel doing very, very well. And then Drake May, like this guy's kind of in the running for MVP in only his second year as an NFL quarterback. Matthew Stafford maybe alongside him. I was reading he has a 72% pass completion rate. The NFL record is like 74. The average is around 64. He can scramble. He's become kind of I don't know, like some kind of a cultural leader, maybe. I mean, I see him do his press conferences, and he just looks so young. Sure sign we're getting old, but he does. But this guy's having an incredible second year.
He is. I think he's the MVP. I think based on, listen, the knock here in the conversation is the Patriots' strength of schedule was the easiest in the NFL, right? But that means they were supposed to kind of be the patsy for other teams, and obviously they flipped that script. And the largest reason for that is no doubt the way Maye has playing on the field, much more responsible, protecting the ball. His accuracy is uncanny. You mentioned that. I was talking to a different NFL announcer the other day who described it like his passes downfield are as accurate as if he was handing the ball off in the huddle. Like they are just on target. So that's been huge. But it is more than that. He is a tone setter. He's been very accountable if he makes the mistake, but then also kind of very able to sort of move on, next play, and not hold on. And that's what's allowed him, say you throw an interception, he doesn't hold on to it. He lets it go. And that has improved every week this year. I think he's the MVP. I don't think they have a lot of great weapons around him, unlike Stafford, who I think is fantastic and has had a great year. But the Patriots won their division. Were undefeated on the road, as you mentioned. And really the heart of that has been Drake May. There's no doubt his emergence as like a new, younger version of like a Josh Allen type has been one of the best stories in the NFL this year.
Yeah, well, it's some turnaround because we were just checking. The last time I spoke to you, Jared Mayo had just been fired and the Patriots were 4 wins, 13 losses. So this is incredible turnaround.
Yeah. It really is. 4 wins the last 2 seasons. Like nobody saw this as quickly. They had to import a lot of stuff. They have rookies starting on the offensive line. They brought in Stefan Diggs as a receiver. There was just a lot of changing parts this year. And the way it all came together is a big credit to Vrabel, obviously from the top, but also just to Maye's maturation and development.
So you mentioned the easy run. If you look at kind of, I guess, how the odds makers see this, the Patriots, as well as they've done, are still down the scale a little bit. So, of the 17 games the Patriots have played, 3 were against teams that have finished the year with a winning record. And they did lose 2 of those games, albeit earlier in the season. So, I don't know. I guess the optimistic version is you say, well, the 99 Rams famously had a very easy run. It didn't stop them winning the Super Bowl. And maybe a team like with a first-time coach, or coach in his first year in Vrabel and quarterback finding his feet in his second year, you can make an allowance that they'll grow during the season and maybe the schedule and the Patriots may collide beautifully here and they'll arrive kind of ready-made come Super Bowl time. But most people aren't buying that. They're thinking, no, this is just too easy.
Yeah, well, they didn't buy it in 2001 either. And the Patriots, absolutely shocked the football year. There's been a lot of fun in around New England, people sort of comparing to that season. That was Brady's second year. Obviously, he didn't start from the beginning of the season, but he took over. They got on their run and shocked the Rams in the Super Bowl. It can happen this way. Like the NFL of every professional sport in the world is kind of an any given Sunday. We know that phrase. Things can happen and teams absolutely can kind of get on a magical run. I covered a few of them back when I used to work in New York with the Giants, winning 2, and you kind of just get on that roll. The schedule is what the schedule is. They can't change that. They can only play the teams that were put in front of them. And they had some impressive wins. Like week 2, you come off a disappointing loss in week 1. You go to Miami, a place that the Patriots as a franchise have had tons of difficulty winning down there, win that game on the road. To me, that one was, looking back in hindsight, was huge. Beating Josh Allen and the Bills in Buffalo. I know they lost them second time around, but it was a late, it was a classic kind of back and forth game. And it was kind of who had the ball last in the last possession, and the Bills pulled that one out. So to me, there were enough signature wins in there that kind of showed that they can win tough games. May, a game-winning drive in the final seconds against Baltimore. Again, another difficult place to play. So to me, the schedule is what it is, but I don't hold it against the team that much, nor do I really hold it against Maye in the MVP conversation.
Yeah, okay. Well, it's going to be interesting to watch for sure. Come here, just as an aside, because the last time we covered NFL, you weren't with us, but we were just chatting ourselves, and we kind of got into a discussion about Bill Belichick's post-Patriots second life. Yeah, I'm sure there's a book in it, but you covered this guy at close quarters for so long, and then he's just turned into, he's at the roast of Tom Brady, and he's doing media, and then obviously there's the girlfriend situation, which is, his business, but equally everyone's kind of gorging on it in the media, and obviously things are not going well in his coaching career at college level. What do you make of Belichick the last few years?
Yeah, I find it kind of sad, to be honest. Like, that's just a personal reaction. You're right. Like, the girlfriend stuff is his business, but this is a guy who built a brand, a job, and a mantra of like no distractions. He's a guy who benched. I remember him benching Wes Welker because he made jokes about Rex Ryan back in the day, and he benched him over making foot jokes because Rex Ryan apparently had a foot fetish. He's a guy who banned Tom Brady's personal trainer. If you remember the Alex Guerrero years, banned him from the sideline of the team plane because he was a distraction. He didn't want that. So he made that such a big part of the do your job element in New England, and what made him successful, and what made supposedly was what, the magic to the Patriot way. And I wrote a full column on this. I can't help but think, what would Bill Belichick, the boss from New England, the guy we knew, make of Bill Belichick, the boss in North Carolina, the guy he is now? He would fire him. I mean, he would fire him, he would bench him, he would do whatever it takes to get rid of those distractions. So that's where his personal life is his own business. When it becomes a distraction to the program and the team, I think that's where he is rightly sort of called out for that. It was sad enough when he didn't get another NFL job, even though I understood why. And it felt a little bit like a desperation move to go to college, and it's just not working out well. He's going to end up probably in the Hall of Fame this year, and that's well deserved. But it feels like kind of a sad coda to an otherwise brilliant coaching career to me.
Yeah. And we're obviously at a point in the cycle of his great Patriots teams where they're taking over the media, or they're very prominent in the media now. And I guess they're being asked about their careers a lot and talking about Belichick a lot. So, a lot of people here would have seen the Tom Brady roast, for instance. It was on Netflix. And, Brady makes it's the type of evening it is, of course. But Brady makes, a fairly pointed jibe. Was it you or was it me? And then he's like, I think we know it was me. Given how things went post Brady. But in the main, when the Julian Edelmans and all the guys are being asked about Belichick this and Belichick that, are they effusive about him? Are they saying how great he was? Or are they starting to kind of, chip away at some of the kind of meaner aspects to Belichick?
Yeah, it's interesting. No, you don't really hear, they never really discredit how he was with them. They definitely have wondered, what's going on now. That's more a little bit like Edelman is a particular, he was effusive at the beginning and then kind of did admit, well, yeah, it's a little bit strange now. We wouldn't have gotten away with some of these behaviors, but there's no, other than there was a weird, I don't know if you got the other documentary. I think it was on Apple, The Dynasty, kind of a 10-part series. Yeah. And that was produced by the Kraft Group. And it was so obvious by omission how much Belichick did not get the credit in that one. But I think that spoke to not so much the Brady Belichick who was it, but the Belichick Kraft, because they clearly still have a lot of unresolved, whatever it is, anger, disappointment. Their relationship is definitely a bit fractured still to this day. So the players, you don't really hear it from them. When it comes to crediting what he did in terms of coaching, it's still effusive, Hall of Fame worthy. I owe him everything. Best coach I ever had.
Okay. And I guess in the long term, that's what's going to survive for all the current
absolutely
stuff.
In an NFL realm, no doubt. I don't think his on-field acumen, coaching, all of that has been tarnished, really. Those last few years stunk, and part of it was on him because he wanted so much control and probably was wearing too many hats, in terms of the procuring the drafting and all that. But no, I mean, of the 6 Super Bowls, I don't think anybody has taken anything away from his role in all of that.
Okay, very good. Who's going to win the Super Bowl?
I don't know. What are you betting on? I have no favorite this year. I am. I think I picked maybe Green Bay before the season started. I don't know. Seattle would be a great fun story if it's not the Patriots, but I think the Sam Darnold and that, has been a great story. I tend to see the world in stories, so if I wanted to pick a fun one, that'd probably be my pick.
Very good. And come here, any word on a Greenland franchise, or is that early doors yet? TBC?
Don't hold it against me. Yeah, they might put an NFL franchise there, hopefully, before someday that will actually the ridiculous notion of acquiring a sovereign nation. But anyway, that's a different discussion for a different day.
Yeah, we're living in interesting times. Tara Sullivan, Boston
That's
Globe.
one word for it.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Tara Sullivan there, great to have her with us. Bill Belichick, of course, going to Dublin this year.
Yeah, people were wondering whether he would still be in charge of University of North Carolina by the time he came over. I don't think Carolina are going to get rid of him. Belichick definitely wants to be an NFL head coach. He's watching Black Monday and rubbing his hands and wondering, I wonder if there's one of these jobs I can get. The New York Giants being the most likely because he's got a good history with that franchise. But there's not an NFL team who would think would touch him with a 10-foot barge pole right now.
Would you like to interview him? If it was like, obviously you'd like to. I'd be interested to see what that would be like because he's such a tough nut to crack. If they were like, we can bring him into the studio for 40 minutes.
Yeah.
I'd love to see how that would go.
Bill, what's going on here?
Bill. Come on, I level with you, Bill.
What's going on here, Bill?
Have we got room for Jordan Hudson to sit in the corner of the room? That's the thing.
That question's off limits, so.
Yeah. It'd obviously be a pointless exercise, but maybe compelling nonetheless to watch the slow motion car crash. When is that game, by the way? September?
It's in the end of August.
End of August.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the press conference. I've been to a Belichick press conference and it's quite something. So I'm looking forward to that. That in itself is box office.
In Dublin, softball questions. It's a fun weekend. No,
he doesn't do fun weekend.
There's pre-game Belichick and there's post-game Belichick. Pre-game Belichick, like if you ask him a couple of nice softball questions, a bit of crack, he might actually give you something. Post-game, forget about it.
Should be the other way around.
Win or lose, after the game, he is like...
We're on to Cincinnati.
Yeah.
I'll go away.
Yeah, at post-game, that's the killer. Like I think I asked him a question in Frankfurt, and I got the most amount of words out of him. I think I got 4 words out of him, which is like more than any of the traveling media. I asked him,
"Do you have a good game, Bill Belichick?"
I asked him if he was happy with how he was using Ezekiel Elliott at the time, and he was. And I think he gave like a 9-word answer or something.
Blacklisted,
like that.
I'm sure for that.
Yeah.
What are you trying to say? Okay, let's turn to NFC. 49ers away to Philadelphia. So obviously the Eagles are defending champions. The last time we talked about them, their offensive coordinator's house was being egged.
Yeah.
Hasn't improved much since then.
Yeah, but it's not a lot better. It's better.
Are they still egging his house?
It's so toxic. I don't know how it can be that toxic in Philadelphia. They're the Super Bowl champions. They're back in the playoffs, and yet it's toxic.
Is it still toxic?
It is very toxic. It is never sunny in Philadelphia.
Yeah, okay.
Nice.
But they're not egging his house anymore.
No. What's interesting is...
already moved.
But what's interesting is like the biggest criticism of Patullo is the fact that he wasn't using Saquon Barkley well. Saquon Barkley had a 2,000 yard year last year for running back, which is like unprecedented level of just amazing quality. He was the X factor of that team that went on to win the Super Bowl. In the first half of the season, and the big thing was Kellen Moore was the offensive coordinator last year. He's now Charlie Smith's head coach down in New Orleans. So Patullo took up that job from being a lower ranked coach and basically just tried to do the exact same thing that Kellen Moore did last year, and it didn't work. He kept trying to give the ball to Saquon, didn't work, but it just wouldn't change to the passing game. And everyone's like, "You're just way too stubborn. What the hell are you doing?" But his stubbornness is working a small bit because, yes, they've changed to the pass game, and Jalen Hurts is still being able to move around a bit as a quarterback. And look, they're going to be dangerous. I mean, their defense is still exceptional as it was last year. They're going to be very, very tricky to beat. I feel like Philadelphia would almost like to play on the road, as they might have to, because they're only the 3 seed. They might have to go on the road later on.
Because their fans hate them.
That's what I mean. Because they like to just to get away from the noise. But the big thing is the fact that Saquon Barkley's performance has improved quite considerably since Thanksgiving.
I think that game is the key game of the weekend for me, because if the Eagles show up and play well and win, all of a sudden it changes the trajectory of the Super Bowl.
We're at the business end. They've turned up. Yeah.
Because I listened to Jordan Mailata, their Australian ex-rugby league guy, who's their very highly paid offensive tackle, and he was asked about the noise and all the booing and all this, and he says, "Look, we've been doubted before. We know when we get to the playoffs last year, we were able to deliver. We know we can do it again this year." And I don't think that'll happen, but if it does click this weekend against a decent 49ers team, it shows that they are still probably the team to beat in the NFC, because we outlined some flaws with some of the other teams, and because they've drafted so well and accumulated so many good players, whenever they take the field, they arguably have the most talent no matter who they're playing, except you know, as we mentioned with the offense, like I don't know how an offense with Saquon Barkley, AJ Brown, Devonta Smith, and Jalen Hurts, who was Super Bowl MVP, can look so slow and ponderous at times.
Because they don't have a plan. They don't work well together. But sometimes they just manage to get just enough to get over the line.
Toxic. You know?
We're into knockout stages. If it clicks, momentum, they're here.
The range of things that could happen, they could win the Super Bowl or everyone could be fired. And all of these things are on the table with the Philadelphia Eagles.
So that happened to them a couple of years ago. They won a Super Bowl, and then like within 2 seasons, everyone was gone. And I did just press the reset button.
Are Philadelphia fans the most hated in the NFL?
I don't know if they're the most hated, but they're certainly the most like kind of vitriolic against their own team.
Yeah, but do other fans, is everyone looking at Philadelphia fans thinking, you guys are assholes?
No, New York fans are the most hated. Because the Jets fans carry themselves like the Eagles, but have none of the success. Like they haven't won a Super Bowl in 50 years, but the Jets fans are like, "What a Jets!"
Yeah, Eagles fans like
ETS Jets.
If you were a road fan going to an Eagles game, you will like expect to get some sort of at least verbal, but probably physical abuse.
If you brought like a 10-year-old child with you to an Eagles game and they were wearing a 49ers jersey, that child will be spat on this weekend. I say that with utmost confidence.
Okay. So Eagles to win, and suddenly everyone's going to take them a lot more seriously.
I fancy them this weekend. I think we'll get a bit of momentum behind.
Okay. Packers away to Chicago Bears. This has been interesting in that they've played each other twice already this season. Both thrillers. So this is a game worth watching, and home advantage won out. So it's Packers away to Chicago Bears. Here are the Bears beating the Packers back in December.
On the fake, Williams looking downfield, launching downfield, going for it all! It is caught! Bears win it! DJ Moore! DJ Moore on the full field post. Off play action. Mixon, an absolutely 10 out of 10 A-plus throw for Caleb Williams. He knew it when he let it go. That ball's in the air a long time. He's thinking, go get it, DJ. Go track it down, big guy. The throw of Caleb Williams' life. The catch of DJ Moore's life. What a scene.
And that was the call of Tom Brady's life
Brady.
as well. Yeah.
Less wooden, bit more energy.
TB12.
A little bit more flow in front of the microphone, would you say?
Yeah, and it's been, I think universally, that's been the opinion that he's improved massively.
See, I haven't heard him much. I was like, that's a different Tom Brady.
After year one, he was so bad, people thought, because he signed like a 10, 15-year contract worth huge money, like as if it was a playing contract, and people thought, oh, no, he'll only see out 2 or 3 years of this and then be gone. But after this year, people think he might be in it for the long haul, because to be fair to him, because I've often seen him, you mentioned Colin Cowherd earlier, like he does it like kind of punditry, like the way Ian Madigan does it with us. And he's brilliant when he's talking in that atmosphere. So there was something there, but co-commentary is very, very different skill. Not surprised it took him a little while to get up to speed. And I think he's done a lot better at translating the knowledge and the kind of crack he has with Colin Cowherd and in those kind of environments, bringing it to like a match.
He's getting to a pitch there, isn't he, in that clip? You know,
yeah.
He's meeting the moment as best he can.
They've definitely done a lot to try and improve his relationship with
the commentator he's with.
Kevin Harlan.
His commentator?
Kevin Burkhardt.
Kevin Burkhardt, thank you. He's definitely done a lot better to improve his relationship with Kevin Burkhardt, who's the lead commentator on Fox. Because like they keep like putting Kevin Burkhardt does a lot of baseball stuff, and they keep like putting Tom Brady on the baseball show just sort of on screen together, just to sort of build up minutes in the off season.
What does Tom Brady say on the baseball show?
He used to play baseball. He was drafted by the Montreal Expos, and he decided to play NFL instead.
So does he indulge in baseball punditry on the show?
He indulges in some slagging off with Derek Jeter and David Ortiz on the Fox coverage.
So they just want these guys to hang out on air.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, like that's a lot of Fox coverage is great crack, but it is great crack. It's not necessarily like you're not going through the numbers. It's David Ortiz putting on like a hat and talking about how teams are going to Cancun. Yeah. Weird thing about Tom Brady though is he's starting to do this thing now where he's in the commentary box, but his right arm doesn't have a glove, but his left hand does. He only has one glove in the box, which I don't know if he's trying to be some sort of like Bond villain-esque or.
No, I glanced into it. It's because he's working the tablet.
Is that it?
Yeah, so he's got his he can't wear.
Cold in there.
It's cold, and he's got his glove on, but obviously his right hand he needs to, I don't know, control the replay and hit pause and hit play and work the tablet. So if he's doing that with his glove, it's a disaster.
I don't know. The first time I saw it was when he was doing a game in Buffalo. I thought it was a homage to O.J. Simpson. I wasn't sure what was going on.
Not a look. Yeah, it's because that is quite innovative, whereby he's controlling the replays and stuff. That's cool, and drawing lines and all that kind of stuff. But you can get gloves now that have a little like a fingerprint on it that kind of does the
They
same.
work as well, yeah.
Well, his other glove that is on, it looks to be very expensive leather. So I don't know if Gucci do the fingerprint.
He's so rich.
His clothes look so expensive. Tom Brady's clothes. Like I see him on a screen in those clothes. I'm 2 inches smaller. Anything else you want to say?
So just on this game, I mean, they always talk about the Packers and Bears being the NFL's greatest rivalry because it has very deep history going back to the 1920s. They're neighboring states and all this kind of thing. I've never felt it because they've never been good at the same time. And in more recent years, more accurately, it's Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers just owning the Bears consistently over and over and over again. This time it's different. We were talking the last day about the different vibes that Ben Johnson has brought into that Chicago team. They've become the bottling Bears into a team that always mounts these fourth quarter comebacks. They've had 6 comebacks in the fourth quarter. That commentary was when they beat the Packers in overtime. They had to come back in that game. They nearly came back and beat them 2 weeks previous in Lambeau Field. Were very, very close to doing a comeback win after a very, very poor first half. The last 2 games they played an absolute shootout against the 49ers 2 weeks ago, lost, but again, very close to doing a fourth quarter comeback. And then on Sunday just gone, they played the Lions at home. Bad at first half, nearly completed the fourth quarter comeback, but couldn't quite get it done. So, this game will not be over until it's over, no matter what the Packers do. There's the one last thing I'll mention on it, though. Week 18, the last week of the regular season, there's always a bit of shadow boxing going on. The Packers didn't play any of their starters and lost the game, whatever. They're resting all their guys for this. The Bears didn't do that. The Bears played their guys because they still had something to play for in terms of the seeding against the Lions, and they lost. Didn't really matter in the end because the Eagles also lost, but their players will not be coming into this with a week's rest. It'll be interesting to know what impact that has on Saturday night.
And just generally, it would be remiss not to mention the Rams as well, who are one of the key teams in the NFC who have a good chance of winning. They're playing the Panthers.
The Panthers should win.
And if they win that, good chance they could be away to the Seahawks, and they've had 2 really good games so far this season. Okay. So that could be kind of a shootout to see who gets there potentially on that side of the.
So if I'm in my busy schedule carving out 1 hour to watch one game,
I would go Bills Jaguars, because it's 6 o'clock on Sunday, so not a bad time.
I can record, but just give me the best game. I'll record it and watch it.
I think because this is kind of a referendum on Josh Allen. He's away from home. If he wins and gets off to a good start in the playoffs, I agree with Shane. I think it opens up well for him. If he loses, Sean McDermott, the coach, will be fired. Okay. And like Lamar Jackson, it'll be crossroads. Oh, what's next? The future of Josh Allen's up in the air, so a lot at stake on that.
Okay, that's 6 o'clock on Sunday.
Yeah, and remiss not to mention as well, they're playing against the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are probably the hottest team in the league right now. They've won their last 8 games. Their offense is kicking. They're the one team to have gone in to Mile High and get something. When Trevor Lawrence went in and played a really good game, that offense is clicking. Liam Cohen is a new head coach. They've got really good vibes there. Their defense is pretty formidable, and their fans are going to really, really want this one. So that's going to be a key clash between 2 teams who could potentially put up 40 points each.
Okay. Fellas, Will wants to ask. Can I say something?
It would be remiss. The final remiss of the podcast. It would be remiss of me not to also flag.
Is this NFL related?
It is not NFL related, but it is American football related.
Okay.
It would be remiss of me not to flag that on Thursday night and Friday night this week are the college football playoff semi-finals. And I wanted to circle back to a point I made at the end of our previous NFL chat when I mentioned the University of Mississippi, their coach walking out on them just before the playoffs started. They have subsequently went on a run. They beat the heavily favoured University of Georgia in the quarterfinals. So they're playing in the semi-final on Thursday night. And they're playing a team that a lot of people, I'd say, might be familiar with, the University of Miami, the U. There was a great ESPN 30 for 30 done on them. They've been in the doldrums for 20-odd years. They similarly had a really big upset win against Ohio State in the quarterfinals. So it's 2 teams unheralded going into the playoffs, battling for a spot in the college football playoff final. That's on at 1:30 overnight, and the other semi-final is 1:30 on Friday night, Indiana versus Oregon. So probably too late for anyone to watch. But the Miami-Ole Miss semi-final is a great match between 2 teams who haven't been at this juncture for a long, long time. In Mississippi's case, for almost ever, really. And for one of them to be on the verge of winning a national championship will be a great story.
Do you watch college football?
I try to get into it as much as I can, but the games are very inhospitable, even for a man.
Even for you.
Even for a man with my schedule.
Oh, geez. Do you watch college football?
I watch highlights when I can. I do the same thing every year in September. I'm like, I'm really watching this, and then the NFL international games start when I'm flying around.
I love it. I love the atmosphere, the passion.
Is the standard very comparable to NFL?
No.
It's shocking. Some of it. It's not shocking, but the scores can be like 45-38, and it can be like an 80-yard run out of nowhere, whereas in the NFL, it's not quite like
Is that more fun to watch, maybe?
Yes.
No?
No?
Yes? No?
If it's between 2 like level teams, like imagine you have two teams who have a similar level, but they make so many mistakes and end up being 48 all.
Because Patrick Harrington would say, like on the PGA Tour, obviously, when you are stuck with an American for 5 hours and you want to fall into kind of conversation, he said it's college football, not NFL, that is the more frequent topic.
Because college football is played far more broadly, as in like the big teams like are often East Coast based in kind of the NFL or some pockets, whereas college football is played pretty much throughout the entire country to decent level. Like say in the Final Four, you have Indiana, Midwest, Oregon, West Coast, Miami, down in Florida, and the South represented in Mississippi. That's every corner of America really, like being represented on the biggest stage in college football. You could not say the same about NFL, so that's probably why the tentacles of it reach out a little further.
Yeah, it's a bit like the GA in terms of like you can, no matter where you're from, you can wear a jersey that has the name of your state on it. Whereas the NFL is only 32 teams across 30 cities. Whereas like if you're from Alabama, you can wear an Alabama thing. Like it also depends what part of the country. In the Midwest and the Deep South, college football is the most popular sport.
Okay.
Yeah, especially in the rural areas as well. So I imagine like if you imagine like where a lot of golf is played along like those southern states, like Georgia, Florida, that's all about SEC college football.
Okay, very interesting. Didn't know that. Fellas, happy wildcard weekend.
Yeah, they used to be called the Super Wildcard Weekend. They dropped the Super. It's just regular Wildcard Weekend, which is interesting because I think this actually has the best chance to be a Super weekend.
When are we talking again?
What's the Super Bowl?
Super Bowl. Okay.
Shane Brennan's Morning Island. Shane Brennan is off to San Francisco.
Yeah,
on again.
Have Morning Island scheduled you in yet, or
not quite? I haven't quite lined up my schedule just yet for San Francisco. It's 8 hours time difference. I'm still trying to get over the mats.
Yeah. Okay. All right, fellas. Very good. Thanks a mil.